shooter to the basket. Here goes Victor. Oh, Oladipo. Big time play, big time play. Woo!
Hello and welcome to the NBA Post-Up Podcast. My name is Cyrus Rogers.
And as usual, I'm Kaunda Chama. This is your weekly dose of NBA action from the African continent, brought to you by Kwese Sports.
Okay, so now we've got that out of the way. Let's get into the topics for today. I think one of the things we want to do is talk about something really important, really early. The race for the MVP. Nobody should be talking about who could be MVP after 10 games played in the regular season. But we're doing it anyway.
Yeah, you know, that's why we're the podcast. We're the Post-Up Podcast. We're posting it up already. So, Cyrus, there's been some impressive plays.
Yeah.
And we went and picked 5 players who we think, you know, deserve a mention in that top spot already.
True. I think let's start with, I hate calling him this, but the Greek freak. Giannis Antetokounmpo really has been marvelous this season.
I thought we agreed he would be the Nigerian Tigerian.
Okay, look, I love that name. I love that name. Swooping down like a dragon.
You know what I'm saying?
But look at the numbers, right? I mean, he's the scoring leader in the MVP. He's averaging 31.9 points per game. He's 10th in blocks. He's averaging 1.7 blocks per game. I mean, he's been monstrous, right? Freakish, some might say.
Freakish, most would say. Cyrus, from the tip-off of the season, you could tell. I mean, first of all, when a great like Kobe tells you got to be MVP, you step up.
Yeah, you better.
And he has been stepping up. Did you see him in the recent matchup against the Cleveland Cavaliers?
Yeah. And this is the other thing about it, is that when you're playing against a team like the Cavaliers who really feel like they should be champions, and you are taking them to task, I mean, you've got something special going on.
If it wasn't for the fact that he got into foul trouble early, him and Thon Maker, they could have taken the game.
They could have. And I think this is what's beautiful about Giannis, is that you try and stop him in any which way you can. And oftentimes it doesn't help. He just goes off on people, and whether it be, you know, just driving to the hoop, or even, you know, when he's on defense, swatting shots out of the air, you just don't know what you have to do to counteract him. And I think that's why if he carries out this form, at the end of the season, I think most of us will be like, okay, MVP.
And watch him closely. There's a mid-range developing there that I'm seeing, and I'm thinking, this dude, he's on a warpath, and he wants that MVP.
Blossoming like a flower.
Absolutely.
But when you're talking about MVPs, one of the guys that's always and perennially in the conversation is LeBron James.
The king himself.
You know, if he's not setting records, he's setting the scoring charts on fire. And he's just incredible. I mean, he's been almost back to his best.
And over the last 7 days, he became the youngest player with 29,000 points. I mean, like you said.
Yeah, nothing to sniff at.
You know, he's a record setter.
Yeah.
But, you know, LeBron James, for me, I think right now he's in his prime. I mean, that goes without saying, right? He's at the top of his game. He is as healthy as they come. He is as dominant as they can be. He can shoot from 3-point range, mid-range. Like, let's not talk about dunking. You know, he
does it all. He does it all.
He does it all. And
right
like he said, you know, recently he learned how to play all 5 positions.
Which is something that you have to do. And I mean, if you're using Russell Westbrook as, you know, the barometer of how you actually try to mold an MVP nowadays, you want to be able to do a little bit of everything. And he does it all.
Absolutely.
And right now, I mean, he's 5th in the scoring charts and 5th in the assist charts as well. So he's averaging 28.9 points per game and 9.1 assists per game. I mean, this is what the king does, you know.
I reckon, without overstepping my bounds, the past 7 to 8 years, he has belonged in this discussion almost every year.
Definitely.
And he continues coming back.
And the reason why he doesn't win it all the time is because people don't want the same guy winning the award over and over and over again.
Yeah, it starts becoming like Groundhog Day. So
let's not have that.
Let's not have that.
You know, because if you're afraid of stuff like Groundhog Day, then you'll be afraid of things like the beard. And you do want to fear the beard.
Oh, yeah, and one beard that should be feared. He's none other than James Harden.
James Harden.
Houston Rockets shooting guard. I mean, James Harden, for me, look, last season, I figured he should have won. But that's just my opinion.
He was unlucky. He came up against a history maker.
Yeah, Russell made history, and we couldn't just deny it. But James Harden played his heart out last season.
He did. And I mean, this is why he's always in the conversation, and is in the conversation for possible MVP at the end of the season now. I mean, he's a sort of 2-time player of the week.
Already?
Yeah.
And we're early in the season. He's already been the Western Conference Player of the Week twice.
And you look at the way the Rockets are playing, I mean, it's generally been because of him. Chris Paul's been injured, and so he's just taken up the reins. He's carried on where he left off at the end of last season. He's third in the scoring charts. He's averaging 29.5 points per game. He's fourth in assist charts. I think he's averaging 9.7 assists per game.
9.7 assists per game.
Heck of a lot of assists.
And remember, we've had this discussion before as a point guard or shooting guard, especially a point guard. You got to be scoring and you got to be assisting.
Yeah.
And James Harden.
He's doing it
also well.
And let's not forget, he's also got the perfect eye roll. I mean, like, if you're going to get an eye roll, James Harden's got that too. They don't have that in the stats sheets yet, but they should.
I think if they do, he's going to be leading that category every day.
So, sticking with beards, but maybe not as prominent as James Harden's, you've got Kyrie Irving. And the reason I bring Kyrie up is that, fine, he might not necessarily be the leader in all of the statistical categories, but when you look at the impact on the team, which is obviously what you want in an MVP,
Absolutely.
Kyrie is doing it. The Celtics are just on fire at the moment, and Kyrie is a big reason behind that.
Look, Cyrus, remember their first game of the season.
Yeah.
When the misfortune happened to Gordon Hayward,
Yeah.
you saw what impact it had. But the team regrouped and said, look, we gotta adjust.
And leader Kyrie came to the fore.
And leader Kyrie came to the party and said, yes, I'm going to lead this squad. So we've been dealt with this disaster so early in the season.
Yeah.
But what do? We carry on. You know, we strap up our sneakers.
Carry on, my wayward son. And that's what he's been doing.
Absolutely. And just the impact. You see, he's still the same old Kyrie. He would drive well. His dribble is apt to scratch. He would take on any point guard or
any player.
It doesn't matter who you are. He
He
would take them on, and he would succeed 99.9% of the time.
Yeah.
And I think that's what you need in a leader, because you need somebody who shows you like you can.
Yeah.
I always take it back to LeBron. I think that's what LeBron does for the Cavs, and I think that's what Kyrie's doing at the Celtics. And I think I stand corrected, but he is an inspiration to the likes of youngsters like Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. They're looking at him and saying, look at what Kyrie can do.
Yeah.
I want to be a Kyrie. Maybe not, I'm not a point guard, but I want to be as great as this guy.
Have the same impact that he's having on the team.
Absolutely. And I think he's having an impact, and he's giving the other guys energy, and that's why the Celtics are where they are at this time of the year.
Second in steals in the league. He's averaging 2.2 steals per game, 18th in points, 22.3 points per game, 22nd in assists. He's averaging 5.7 a game. I mean, Kyrie is the business.
Absolutely.
And then you look at what he's doing, and then you start thinking, okay, fine, the Celtics have been performing well. What about the current MVP, Russell Westbrook?
Russell Westbrook.
You can't overlook him.
You can't. I mean, he's such an impactful player. I mean, I call him the NBA's Energizer Bunny. When he's in a game, you know Russell's there.
You know it.
Even if he's having an off day, you will feel him a couple of times in that game. And I think the reason why we haven't been, mentioning his name so loud is that he's had a relatively slow start to the season in Russell Westbrook terms.
That is so true. That is so true.
No, not in everybody else's terms.
We can't gauge him by normal human standards.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's half man, half machine. Right?
That is true.
So
he's currently leading the NBA in assists per game. So he's averaging 10.9 assists per game. So when you add what they're calling the OK3 together, Paul George, Carmelo Anthony, he is dishing out to these guys. And so he said, okay, fine, I might take a step back on the scoring side, but don't be mistaken, I'm still the man.
And he can bring it back. He is capable of getting those triple doubles going once again, or just, performing so well that he might take that trophy again. Okay, it's too early to say.
Way too early.
But it's Russell. He's done it before, and he can do it again.
Everybody should catch the NBA on all your Kwese platforms, on TV via Kwese Free Sports and Kwese Sports 1. You can also find the NBA using the Kwese Play device in South Africa, and all the information that you need will be found on NBA.com. on the African continent. And one of the things that's on the website this week is our African Player of the Week section. And yet again, Victor Oladipo was our Man of the Week.
Look, Cyrus, this happens rarely. And now that we've got so many African players doing so well, but this early in the season to have a guy appear twice already. But Victor Oladipo, like I mentioned in the article, which you can read on the website, him and Sabonis, and him in particular, I think he is the X factor at Indiana Pacers at the moment.
Last time on the podcast, we talked about him in particular, and we said, you know, in the trade for Paul George, who was the winner? And I keep thinking that every week that passes, the Indiana Pacers must be thinking, how did the Thunder not know what they had in their hands? You know?
Look, like we've discussed this before. I mean, the Thunder have benefited from having Paul George. I mean,
of course.
Efficient player. He that three-guy position. He's just marvelous. And working with Carmelo Anthony and Russell Westbrook, it's working out well. But like we said before, it's all about role playing. And I think the role that Victor has now at the Pacers is what he needed.
And it's perfect.
And it's working.
His weekly stats speak to that. 20 points this week. You know, average.
20 points over the last 7 days?
Yeah, that's crazy. Averaging 4 rebounds and 4.4 assists per game. I mean, the Pacers have won twice. They've lost 3 times. But he's been an ever-present. In fact, he dropped 31 points against the Sixers, although that was in a loss. But, I mean, it just goes to show that he's now one of the key cogs in that machine.
Absolutely, and I think he's feeling more freedom at the place. I don't know if you've noticed that. It's as if he had to play second fiddle at OKC. But now that he's in Indiana, and which I keep saying, that's his second home because that's where he went to college. So he's like, I'm back home, guys. You know, let's get this show moving, and I'm going to perform. And I think he's feeling that freedom, and it's allowing him just to be Victor. Yeah,
that's true. And having said that, you know, we have to give some honorable mentions to some of our other African players. You know, Joel Embiid, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Serge Ibaka have all been playing really, really good basketball.
Yes, you know, like with Joel, you can see that because he's such a monstrosity.
You can't miss it.
He's that Cameroonian sensation. Giannis Antetokounmpo. I mean, he's almost like there are 5 Giannis's sometimes when I'm watching a game. Like,
you blink and you'll miss him.
What is this guy? Point forward, center. But Serge Ibaka, you remember when he was here for the NBA Africa game in Africa, and he said, you're going to see the return of the E-blocker. So he hasn't yet started blocking at that OKC level yet. But in terms of points,
no, he's contributing.
He's contributing in a big way.
You have brought us to the next bit I wanted to talk about, which is this coming NBA Sunday's clash. So this weekend, in fact, this Sunday is really, really great game. The Toronto Raptors are playing the Boston Celtics, and that game is going to be incredible. I mean, it's on 10 p.m. Central African time, which I think is 9 p.m. West African time. And, you know, it's going to be one of those games where 2 of the best teams in the East really lock horns.
Look, Cyrus, and I think we need to keep stressing this NBA Sundays because I think word needs to get out further because it's not every day we get to watch games that early. I mean, this is a fantastic time slot.
It really
you get to watch a game at 10. Worst case scenario, it ends at midnight. You still get enough sleep in the morning to meet at the water cooler and argue about who was the best player in the game.
Exactly.
You know, this is perfect. For
even the kids could stay up, but then you'd have to give them some juice in the morning to make sure that they stay up in school.
I was about to say that's a bit of a stretch, but hey.
No, they sleep during the day.
Maybe your kid.
Well, we'll see when that time comes.
Absolutely.
But going back to the game, you know, I look at it, and I mean, this clash is happening in Boston at TD Garden. The Celtics really are at the top of their game. They're on a winning streak. This is of Wednesday this week, and I mean 9 in a row they've won. Their record is like 9-2, and they're just tearing things up. The Raptors are not too far behind. I mean, their record is currently
6-4.
6-4. So you know, this is a good clash of really good teams.
Look, this is even not a given game because although the Celtics are doing great, but let's not forget that DeMar DeRozan's stats are getting better by the week. Kyle Lowry's not too far behind. We said Serge Ibaka is doing well. Jonas Valanciunas. I was beginning to write off Jonas last season, saying
you like to write people off.
I'm that kind of guy. He's getting old. He's getting slower, and I gotta give dues where they're deserved.
Yeah, and I mean, he's leading the team in rebounds. DeMar DeRozan is leading the team in points per game, and Kyle Lowry is leading them in assists. But this game is also really important because there are quite a few African players involved. So on the Celtics side, you have Semi Ojeleye. Abdel Nader could also play as well. But then on the Raptors side, there are 3 players. You mentioned Serge Ibaka. He is really going to be the guy to watch. And I mean, he's second in points per game in that Raptors team. He's averaging 13.2 points per game. Third in rebounds per game, averaging 5.4, and third in blocks per game, almost a block a game at the moment. So, he's really putting in the effort.
And I think he must be quite an inspiration to someone like Pascal Siakam, who's relatively new to the squad and looking up to this bigger force that is Serge Ibaka and saying,
he's been there and done that.
He's been there and done that, and he's played with the likes of OKC, the Orlando Magic, and now I can learn so much from this guy who's done it all.
And Pascal, I mean, he showed in the NBA G League what he can do, and now he's with the main team. He's doing his bit, and he needs to kick on from there, and I think that he will. In fact, you also see young Nigerian-American OG Anunoby. He's actually been getting some minutes, and he's looked pretty good.
Absolutely. I mean, he's not getting many minutes, but you can see in just the short time that he spends on that hardwood that there's potential right here. There's a reason why I'm sure Masai Ujiri says, put that young man in there.
Oh, look, he's in the mix because he's got the talent.
Absolutely.
We've come to the end of this week's show.
Already?
I know, it's unbelievable. But I do have something that I want to talk about, and that is the NBA Predictor game. Right? So it's a chance for fans of the NBA to play a game where they get to sort of pick and choose who they think will be the winners of that week. It is available at www.kweseslamdunk.com. So that's kweseslamdunk.com. We're going to be playing it. We're going to predict, see who's going to win. I'm sure I'm going to get more points than Kaunda.
Woo! Tall order, son. Tall order.
But that's it for today.
So from us at the NBA Podcast, we'll see you in 7.